Some people ask me if I keep having COVID for attention and if I actually am having COVID. And yes, I actually have COVID. I know I have COVID because I am regularly tested due to me wanting to be a good citizen and, like protect myself and others. But for some background, I do live in New York City where we do have a vaccine mandate where if you work for like any employer, public or private, you need to be vaccinated. So, with that said, um, I think everybody should be vaccinated because that is the rule here. Of course, if you work like out in Long Island or in New Jersey or Connecticut, anywhere in the surrounding areas, but you live in New York City, you don't have to get vaccinated because I don't think they have the same rules as the city. It's just that if you work in the city or if you want to like go out to the movie theater or restaurants or any sort of entertainment, you do need to be vaccinated. But obviously, if you have a car and you work somewhere else that's not the city, it's very easy to get around that and you don't have to be vaccinated. So, that said, um, I live in a freedom house. So, I live in this house with three other roommates, and they're all boys, and they all think that COVID is not real and that it's total BS. So none of them are vaccinated. And I guess that's fine because one works in a warehouse, one is a UPS driver, and the other is a musician. So basically, no one is vaccinated and no one thinks that COVID is real. And I actually live across the hallway from one of my roommates who gets sick the most. And how it works is every single time he gets sick, we live in the same corridor, so we like share the same air. And the way that our bathroom schedules lined up is that I actually use the bathroom in the morning right after he does. So it's like still full of his fucking germs that he's like coughing up everywhere. So he gets sick, then I get sick. But when I get sick, I get tested so I know that I have COVID. And then I tell him, hey, I have COVID, and you got sick first, and then I got sick, which means you gave it to me. Therefore, you have COVID too. And then he goes, nah, that's bullshit. You don't have COVID. How do you know you have COVID? And I was like, I got tested multiple times and had multiple positive results. Therefore, I have COVID. And he's like, no, that is so garbage and so bullshit. Like, no, don't listen to these people. You don't have COVID. And of course, I do have COVID. I have had the loss of smell and taste. I have had like the pneumonia. So I 100% do have COVID. And the thing is, all of his friends at this point, because this is the third round, are pissed off at him because he keeps giving them COVID too. Because he has COVID, he denies that he has COVID, that he's just sick. When he also has exactly the same issues as I have whenever I'm sick because we have the same illness. So this third time, two groups of his friends are pretty pissed off that he's given them COVID and he just denies. And honestly, like, I don't think that anyone can do anything to convince him that he's like one of the people who spreads COVID to other people because last time it was a fluke for his friends, but this time they're pissed because he's like he keeps giving us COVID. But nothing anyone says is going to change my roommate's opinion on like what he has and how COVID is like a government conspiracy. So, basically, every single time my roommate gets sick, I get sick too. And due to the fact that I do get tested regularly, um, that's how I get COVID. So, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if I get COVID a fourth time. Not to mention, every single time I have gotten COVID in the past, it just gets worse every single time. And this time it was pretty severe. Did not have to get hospitalized, but I did have to go. And then I had to go again because the first round of antibiotics they gave me didn't work out, which means next time is probably going to be even worse. And the issue is I don't consider myself immunocompromised, but I have health issues that fall under the umbrella of immunocompromisation or whatever this term is, according to the CDC when they released that poster like during the lockdown of, oh, if you're immunocompromised, whatever. And so, that said, like I'm not saying that like poor me, I'm immunocompromised, but I also think that that might have something to do with the fact that I keep getting COVID over and over again. And it doesn't help that the person who lives right across the hall from me and also shares a bathroom with me is the one that keeps giving it to me, and he doesn't think it's a big deal. So, yes, this is how I have had COVID 3 times so far. Um, According to the trends, I usually get COVID around the beginning of the year. So, the first time I had it was around like the end of February 2020, going into March, I think, when COVID was an actual, like, coming into America. I was so sick. There were no tests at that time, but I did go to urgent care because my coworkers forced me to. And everyone thinks that's the first time. The second time I got it was February 2021. And by that time, we did have testing. And then shortly after that, I believe the vaccines came out or something, if I'm not mistaken. And then this third time, I remember it because it just happened. It was December of 2021, going in to January 2022, where December 21st, 2021, I started having like a sore throat and a cough, and I was constantly blowing my nose and didn't think anything of it and was still testing negative until I tested positive on December 31st and January 1st of 2022. So, I think that if I have it again, it will also be around that time, like early in the new year. But crossing my fingers, it doesn't happen again. And by that time, COVID is going to be kind of over because I'm sick of this shit.